Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things underneath a common sense lens. And you know, boys and girls, we love the rumor mill around here. But sometimes when you hear the same rumor over and over and over again, year after year, it just kind of goes stale after a while. But needless to say, it doesn't really matter because the internet is alight once again with more rumors and speculation that Kathleen Kennedy is going to be gone from Star Wars forever. Boys and girls, and does it really matter? No, because she has killed Star Wars successfully, as you would used to be literally a money printing machine when it came to merchandise and everything else about that movie, about that whole series out there. She has literally turned it into something that is nothing more than a bargain bin joke over there at Ollie's, which is exactly where all of the modern Disney Star Wars toys end up at. But needless to say, it's back out there again, and because this is being reported by Variety and some of the actual official Hollywood trade magazines, a few more people out there are taking this one a little bit more seriously. And as a friendly reminder too, this also kind of lines up a little bit with WDW Pro had said, but at the end of the day, good old Kathy will leave exactly when she wants to. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, here you go. We've got it over here from Variety.com. Star Wars boss Kathleen Kennedy planning to exit Lucasfilm at the end of 2025. And then, of course, Cosmic Book News, our dear sweet Matt McGloin, and everybody, every other news organization out there in any way, shape, or form has been reporting on this. So we're going to check out these articles, specifically probably the Cosmic Book News ones, because that's our boy Matt McGloin, and we like presenting his stuff out there as well, and Variety gets too much attention as anyway. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share it with all your friends, but subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 1,700. We're on our way to, or we just crossed 1,600. We're on our way to 1,700, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Do you think this will even do any good to the Star Wars brand for Kathleen Kennedy to finally be seen the boot? Do you think there's going to be anything actually going to change, or do you believe, like so many other people out there, that Star Wars is just DOA and she has completely and totally killed it? It's one of those things that need to be shelved. Or do you think, of course, as usual, as we've seen happen so many times in the past, she will end up staying on even after this, just for the spite of it, because the Hollywood trade magazines and everybody else have been talking about it? Let us know what you think about all this from the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check the links in the description as well. All right, so we're going to check out the Variety one here real quick just for a second, because this is where it comes from, right? This is where this information comes from, is Puck News. Kathleen Kennedy, the longtime president of Lucasfilm, is expected to step down at the end of 2025. She intends to retire after her current contract ends, according to a source with knowledge of her plans. A separate source close to Kennedy, however, dismissed the initial report by Puck as pure speculation and said nothing has been decided at this point. And honestly, it's one of them situations where, like, I believe Kathy's getting into like her 70s at this point, so you'd think it would actually make sense. You'd want to retire and move on and not have to deal with all the BS and the stress that comes with that, literally running a studio. And of course, on top of that, how it's literally been nothing more than a disaster for Lucasfilm ever since she took over. So let's jump over to the Cosmic Book News article here again as well. After a turbulent 13-year tenure, Kathleen Kennedy has told Disney, along with friends and colleagues, that she plans to step down at Lucasfilm president by year's end. Kennedy's exit aligns with Disney CEO Bob Iger's planned departure in 2026, which they're still supposedly working on a successor for. We haven't seen anything announced officially in any way, shape, or form for that. Puck News reports that the 70-year-old executive initially intended to leave in 2024, but extended her tenure for another year. And I like the little hashtag that's been going around with like the Sil Abdul guys and all that kind of stuff. Hashtag Mikey was right, because yeah, it's finally happening. The trade magazines are reporting on it. It's finally happening. It's not Mike Zero out there making another clickbait headline about how Kathleen Kennedy's going to imminently get fired any day now. You know, it's none of that kind of stuff out there. The major trades corroborated the report, adding that Kennedy has told people she plans to retire. However, neither Disney, Lucasfilm, nor Kennedy herself have officially confirmed the news. And obviously, this is one of the other things that Variety talked about, the actual pure speculation and all that kind of stuff. But let's talk about who could possibly replace her, right? And what we think about all of this as situations out there. So with news breaking, Disney has not announced Kennedy's successor. However, speculation is already swirling about potential candidates to lead Lucasfilm and the Star Wars franchise. Possible replacements. Jon Favreau is obviously would be all of the fan favorites guy. He's the only reason like Mandalorian season 1 and 2 were any good at all. The only problem with that one out there is, and we know he's working on the Mandalorian Guru for the movie release or whatever that they're supposed to do in 2026. But it's one of those situations where also a lot of the same reports that we've heard is that he also is just a contractor with Lucasfilm, right? Like he doesn't actually officially work for them. So whether they would actually want to hire somebody like that, I'm not entirely sure. But obviously the fans would absolutely rejoice. The real question is, I don't think Jon Favreau really wants the job. He likes being able to go out and do his movies and stay in his own little creative bubble. But man, God bless him if he would take over. You might at least get some good quality Star Wars. It's never going to fix the damage that Disney has done to the brand, but you might at least get some good, like, quality one-off stories somewhere from him. Now, Dave Filoni, and I know there's Dave Filoni fans out there, but Dave Filoni is an absolute hack, okay? His Star Wars, the Clone Wars stuff for Disney was absolutely bored me to tears. I tried several times getting back into it and going over it and all of this other kind of stuff, but Dave Filoni is nothing more than a beta cuck soy boy out there, and he's the last person you need in charge of Disney Star Wars. Dave Baloney, as one of my friends out there in the chat likes to call him. Simon Kinberg, the X-Men producer, is reportedly developing a new Star Wars trilogy. Additionally, one of his longtime team members, Derek Hoffman, recently became Lucas's VP of Development, replacing a Kennedy appointee. So I don't know much about Simon Kinberg's background and all of that kind of stuff out there, but if he's done some of the good quality X-Men stuff or he's been part of the production team, that could potentially be a good thing too. Like I said, they're never going to fix what happens in Star Wars, right? They're no one until like either somebody else buys this or we're 10 years down the road where Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger are long gone from this earthly realm out there. There's no way they're going to reboot and retcon what they did. And either way, you've lost the opportunity of having Han, Luke, and Leia back on screen together. Harrison Ford is not long for this world to begin with, considering how old he is, and I know he's still piping around. Mark Hamill's completely and totally insane, but he could still do Star Wars. But of course, our dear sweet Leia is gone. She's no longer here. So it's one of them situations where you're still never going to get that again. Could you potentially get good Disney Star Wars stories that don't have all of the diversity, inclusion, and equity nonsense in them? Yeah, probably. But they're never going to go back and fix what happened to Disney Star Wars. Sadly, they're never going to retcon that, at least not under anybody in the current regime. So Star Wars is dead, boys and girls. So Kennedy's planned departure comes just months before Star Wars Celebration Tokyo in April 2025. Reports suggest that major announcements about Lucasfilm's future, including a potential successor, could be made at that event. Andor Season 2 also premieres on April 22nd, 2025, and Ahsoka Season 2 is in the works. For now, Star Wars fans await official confirmation and more details on what lies ahead for the franchise. So obviously, that's what it's going to do. If they are going to do something like this, it's going to be at a major event, right? They're not just going to, and like, unless something is going really bad behind the scenes and Bob Iger might have actually finally found his balls and starts firing some people, it's not going to be some like abrupt thing we're just going to hear announced in the trades, right? The decision might have been made. She might still be waffling about it. I don't know. But needless to say, it is way past time for Kathleen Kennedy to leave Lucasfilm. All we have to do is look at the record of how well it's all gone. Kathleen Kennedy was George Lucas's choice to take over Lucasfilm and Star Wars. George, I don't know what you were smoking. I don't know what Kathy has on you, but holy cow, dude. Jar Jar Abrams was brought in on board for the new Disney Star Wars trilogy. Star Wars episode The Force Awakens, which was literally nothing more than a rehash of The New Hope, which is exactly what I said when I walked out of the theater on that thing, released in 2015 and brought in over $2 billion at the box office. And I believe, according to the Variety article, too, it was like the highest grossing domestic film as well. It hit like $982 million or something like that. That showed you that the Star Wars brand was always healthy and the fans were always ready to jump at the bit to get something else out there. But of course, that's not what we got from Disney Star Wars. However, the franchise would struggle thereafter. Rian Johnson's rejected The Last Jedi, and coupled with Kennedy's The Force's female narrative and push, Star Wars went downhill. And also, The Last Jedi I'm thinking of The Rise of Palpatine. The Rise of Palpatine actually ended up losing money. Like, it made over $1 billion, but it still ended up losing money once we found out about all of the tax filings in the UK, because they basically had to shoot that movie twice. According to the tax filings from the United Kingdom, that movie cost like $550 million. So literally, outside of The Force Awakens, there's an argument to be made that everything she has produced under Lucasfilm banner, whether it be Star Wars, Indiana Jones, or the Willow series, have all lost money. She has literally damaged what used to be $1 billion brand into basically worth penance. I saw some jokes out there on Twitter because things are going on with the Gina Carano lawsuit and all that kind of stuff. And somebody was like, you should ask for Lucasfilm in the settlement. It's not really worth much right now anyway. I mean, seriously, what brand from Lucasfilm haven't they destroyed? The Willow show was an absolute abomination, right? Dial of Dysentery lost money, right, at the box office by a lot. Even Variety has to admit it lost like a minimum $140 million. And that's only if you believe the reported budget of $300 million, which is probably actually closer to $500 million if all the rumors are true about all the reshoots and reworkings and everything else. I mean, John Williams said so himself he was coming back for reshoots in December, like rescores in December. So we know all of that stuff was going on out there. So literally, it's been nothing more than, of course, Solo lost money. Many of Kennedy's announcement Star Wars projects have never come to fruition. Under Kennedy, a new Star Wars movie also hasn't been released since 2019. Imagine that, 6 years. Because I was one of those, man, when I heard Disney was going to buy this, I was like, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be great. We're going to get like Marvel-level movies, Marvel quality-level movies out of Star Wars. We're going to get all this cool stuff. And then, yeah, No, not so much. Kathleen Kennedy definitely tried turning it into a girls brand. There's no doubt about that. So Lucasfilm's Willow series would also be canceled after one season and removed from Disney Plus streaming service. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny lost Disney more than $134 million at least, and expensive reshoots and rewrites. Recently saw The Acolyte canceled after one season, and for the first time ever, a Star Wars series didn't make the Nielsen charts with Skeleton Crew. So yeah, needless to say, Kathleen Kennedy, good old Kathy over there, the Darth Sidious of Star Wars, Lucasfilm out there. Yes, it is long past time for her to leave. I don't know I don't know if she knows where all the bodies are buried in Hollywood. I don't know what it is, but I mean, anybody else with this kind of track record of failure and causing their company to lose billions of dollars, because the trade magazines can try to run cover for them all they want and say the Star Wars movie is successful, but Disney knows the numbers, right? They know the numbers better than all of us out there. They know how abysmally bad all the Star Wars series are doing in the ratings. They know how much the disaster Dial of Dysentery actually cost them and how much money they lost. Same thing with the movies. Same thing with these television shows. They know this thing is abysmally bad. In any other sane world out there besides Hollywood, this woman would have been fired a long time ago and replaced. Why? Because she chose all these producers. She chose all these writers. We know from leaks inside of Disney Star Wars that things literally went through an LGBTQ alphabet soup mafia panel to approve the stories, to make sure that they were gay enough and all of that other kind of stuff. We've seen those reports. We've talked about them on this channel in other videos. So yes, is Kathleen Kennedy leaving? We don't know. We never know. She's going to leave when she's good and ready. But at this point, it is absolutely far past time for her to leave. And let's pray to God in heaven above. All things for the glory of God. And let's see something good come out of this. And let's see this absolute witch finally leave after literally setting fire to what used to be arguably the most successful brand in the world and turned it into nothing more than a disastrous dumpster fire that would anywhere else would get you fired. And hopefully, maybe finally, Kathleen Kennedy will finally be walking out of Lucasfilm forever. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, hashtag Star Wars is dead. And she killed it.